half in the bag. A fucking goat can review movies better than these assholes.
So this is weird, Boomer. This is called a book. I've been reading lots of these lately because I've run out of new movies to watch.
That's true. We've been stuck inside the VCR repair shop for almost a month now.
You know what fucking movie won't leave my life is Trolls World Tour.
It's the most popular film of the year. What do you expect?
So that was a movie that came out right as the pandemic started, and I think it was the first thing they put on streaming media. Mm-hmm. And that was in February. And it's like the top thing in the red box. It's when you go to Amazon or Vudu or any streaming service. It's Trolls World Tour, Trolls World Tour. You go into a store, they've got Blu-rays of them from floor to ceiling.
I think Trolls World Tour is still around because people have been quarantining for so long that now they're already nostalgic for it.
Oh, it's now hip to watch it?
Days feel like weeks, and so people feel like that. Oh, that movie, I watched that when I was a little kid. Yeah. Trolls World Tour.
10-year-olds go and revisit it to relive their 9-year-old childhood. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. But so we've been keeping track of movies. Movies are they're like ghosts. They're like some kind of specter that you have to hunt down. They don't tell you when movies come out. You watch a trailer for a movie that's a 2020 film. The trailer was released at the end of 2019. It's April 2020. Then you go and look it up, and it's delayed forever. or something just came out, and there's no way to know when it came out or where it's at.
Yeah.
And so
hadn't heard of it. It just shows up one day.
It just shows
appears.
up one day. And there's Netflix originals, Hulu originals.
And then you have a movie like New Mutants, which is like the white whale. One day we'll catch it. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's disappeared again.
It's been on the proverbial shelf for a decade. But then you have movies that are fairly well advertised, like Palm Springs, which we'll talk about.
Was that well advertised? Because that was one I had heard about until it showed up on Hulu, and then everyone was just going gaga for it.
I saw several promoted things for it on Twitter and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, and then it was all over Hulu, and I think in terms of a bigger streaming movie, it was sort of well promoted, alongside that racist Will Ferrell movie where he's...
the Eurovision movie.
Yeah, which...
Yeah, getting me to watch that, even in quarantine.
Right. I'd rather have coronavirus. I'd rather watch paint dry.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that Will Ferrell talks in a funny voice and yells a lot.
Sure, yeah.
I'm gonna scrub through it. I'm gonna pull it up on Netflix, and I'm going to scrub through it, and I'm just going to, whatever I land on, I'm going to play the clip right now.
I can't take this shit, okay?
Okay.
It's like this much shit.
I know.
I can maybe take this much shit, but it's up here.
It's a lot of shit.
Shit!
Boom.
Oh, he was yelling.
Anyway, so we're digging around, and we discover little gems. So this show is called Little Gems.
And everything except one is a movie that came out this year, technically. I'm assuming some of them played film festivals and stuff last year. I know that Palm Springs said it played at Sundance.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Movies that haven't been released until this year, wide released. Although no movies are wide released anymore.
Nope. So
actually, they're released as wide as they can be. They're just on the internet.
I honestly think my prediction for the future will come true. There'll be Disney buildings.
That's where you go and see the Disney films.
Disney buildings or whatever. Whatever conglomerate owns everybody else.
Yeah, the only holdouts that aren't Disney related are Christopher Nolan and Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah. That
still severely support the theatrical experience.
Right. Maybe
Spielberg. Spielberg maybe a little, and James Cameron.
Oh God. He's all blue in the face over his Avatar nightmare. He's going to be dead by the time Avatar 16 comes out. What a disaster.
Did they start shooting Avatar 2?
I have no idea.
And then it got on hold because of coronavirus?
I have no idea. But he's going to be in a grave before his Avatar dreams are ever achieved, if they are.
New Mutants will come out before Avatar 2.
Yeah, exactly. What are you going to wear, 3D goggles in your house? You're going to knock over your beer on your couch. You know what I mean? What? Sorry.
Nobody cares about 3D anymore, James Cameron. I'm so sorry.
Anyway, so here we are. We watched four feature films.
Well, I watched 5. 4 of them are ones that we both have watched.
Yes.
And I have one I just wanted to mention briefly because I don't think it's going to be around for much longer, but it's called Gremlins, A Puppet Story. And it's a very bizarre release. It's Hollywood, the Hollywood Theater in Portland. So it's on their website. You go there and you click on the buy a ticket thing and you can stream it right from their website. I don't know why that one specific theater has it, but it's Chris Walas who did all the effects for Gremlins.
Oh.
And it's not really a documentary, but it's feature length. It's like 90 minutes. And it's almost all just raw VHS footage of him, the kind of trial and error of creating all the creatures and the puppets for Gremlins. Just tons and tons of like behind the scenes footage that has never been seen anywhere, and him kind of narrating over it.
Well, that answers my question of what exactly are you masturbating to these days?
But if you're big into Gremlins, it's worth checking out.
I will definitely check this out.
But I think it's weird. It's only streaming on their website for like a week or 2 weeks, and then I have no idea what's going to happen to it.
Why would they have a time limit?
I don't know. And why on this one movie theater in one city's website? It's very weird. So I'm hoping after this...
Is it literally playing in the movie theater or no? It's just on
I don't think the movie theater's open. You can just stream it on their website. But it shows like the original design for the Mogwais and how they were like a darker shade of brown. And then Spielberg was like, make it look like my dog. And so they, at the last minute, they had to change all the colors. They had to refur them. And just, all this like test footage of them trying out different, puppeteering techniques.
This.
It's fascinating. If you're big into Gremlins, and it's all stuff, like I said, I don't think it's ever been seen before.
Nice. Nice. See, this is what I would like. This is what I Google around for, like movies that came out this year. And I find like lists,
with a shrug emoji next to it.
Yeah. It's like a bunch of movies came out. Here's delayed. It might be out, and I look it up. Is it out? Did they just release it? Is this article outdated? Is this release date still accurate? Like, it's just a mess.
Yes.
So here we go. Our first movie is spun the roulette wheel, Jay. You dropped the ball. What movie are we talking about first?
Oh God, let's talk about Horse Girl first.
Sure.
And what is it that you're experiencing?
Been having a little trouble sleeping. Finding myself places and I don't know how I got there.
Horse Girl, which premiered on Netflix earlier this year.
Yeah, and I accidentally at first watched a different Horse Girl. I thought, Alison Brie, oh my God, your career. And then I was, and then I changed it to the right Horse Girl.
Well, that sounds like a very comical situation.
It was. Especially, I was watching it with my grandmother. The weird thing is, she told me to leave it on.
I thought you were going to say, she said, how did you find my old home movies? Horse Girl, kind of sci-fi-ish, I guess. We're talking about 2 movies that are both dealing with mental illness. One a horror film, one a sci-fi film, kind of. Both very low-key as far as their genres go. They're more character studies and more about mental illness than anything. But this one is Alison Brie. She starts to see things that she recognizes from her dreams, and she starts to think that maybe she was abducted by aliens, and her life starts falling apart.
Yeah, Alison Brie gives a fantastic performance in this. I was always sort of like blah on her. I knew her from Mad Men.
Oh, that's right. She was on Mad Men. I was going to say the same time she was on Mad Men, she was on Community, and I really liked her on Community.
Never watched Community.
She's good on Glow, the Netflix show.
I didn't watch that because I'm not a pervert.
But yeah, she's really good in this movie. I would say she elevates the movie.
Oh, yeah.
The movie didn't quite click for me.
No?
Yeah. It kind of felt like, because the whole idea, it's one of those movies where it's like, oh, is what she's seeing, is that reality or is she losing her mind? And it leaned so far into she's crazy.
It has to be on because of a static satellite. He's a god of technology and the aliens need to appease him. Okay, they come at night. They come at night when everything's off and it's not daylight. It's not daylight, it's electricity. It's all about electricity.
It's a detriment to the movie, but it's a testament to her acting that she's so good in the film. But I never bought that what was happening. It never felt to me like, oh, this could possibly be real. It always just felt like, oh, she's going crazy to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but that slow spiral down is great, and all the situations that are intertwined with it.
Sure, until like about halfway through is when she kind of starts to go really off the rails, and that's where the movie lost me a little bit. But the subtler stuff in the first half I thought really worked.
No, I love the movie, and questionable on the ending, because this is a Duplass Brothers produced film. This Horse Girl movie is very similar to another Duplass Brothers movie called Safety Not Guaranteed. Have you ever seen that?
I saw it back when it came out. I barely remember it now.
Whimsical, kind of crazy people and a time travel-y kind of plot.
That was a little more lighthearted though, right?
This
was pretty dark.
Yeah, but everybody in this is great, especially Alison Brie. She meets, and the roommate too. See, there's like lots of little touches where, like that stock character of her roommate, you know, you'd think she'd be like this vapid, bitchy character who was just like rude, but she was actually like concerned and kind and
super rational.
And so
when Alison Brie starts doing kind of weirder stuff, she's more just kind of confused by it. Like, why did you bring over a plumber to tear up the floor?
Yeah. And so I like that it felt very genuine, a lot of the stuff in it. And then her spiral down, and when she just starts to do like that moment when the other characters are like, what?
Is there also a test, like to see if I'm a clone?
I'm sorry?
Just a test to see if I'm like a clone?
Oh, David Paymer, our first appearance of David Paymer on this episode. Yes. He comes back.
But David Paymer's, like, the way he reacts and answers her questions is very doctor-like, you know? And
it's not like a typical movie where they emphasize that, she's clearly crazy. Like,
right.
He's trying to play it cool.
Yeah, he plays it cool. And then there's a little moment where he kind of realizes that, she's serious. And he's like, have you ever considered maybe talking to someone? Mm-hmm. He's very professional, very doctor. And I love that. I love when they don't do cliches and they don't play it up for, you know, the silliness of the whole situation, her asking about being a clone. Mm-hmm. It's played very straight. And her insane streak is truly crazy.
I didn't know her. She was gone before I was born, so maybe they would have needed her body to like recycle it into me if I was a clone of her. And I don't know who would be doing it.
But it feels grounded in a realistic world, and then it spirals out of control. Well, and then now we'll talk about the ending. So skip here to jump to our second film on our 4-film tier list of films we talk about on our program.
That all came out in 2020, except for one of them that did not, but we watched it anyway.
Correct.
That's the full title of this episode.
That's right. That's it, Jay. So skip here to jump to our next film if you want to watch Horse Girl. So the ending of the film, Alison Brie's gone off the rails.
Yes.
And she thinks she's being kidnapped by aliens. And this is...
she thinks she's been abducted by aliens, which ties in with time travel, and she thinks she's her own grandma.
Yes, yes. And so when you explain that to someone, crazy.
Yeah.
But it turns out to be true.
Or does it? Is everything in the end just in her mind?
No, she vanishes.
Well, are we just seeing her delusions, though?
Well, okay. But the one thing that you can't explain are the physical scratch marks that appear on her wall. And so, and the roommate confirms this by seeing the literal scratch marks on the wall.
That's true.
So I think she did become her own grandmother, and she was actually being abducted by aliens. You say it's open to interpretation. I say that was my interpretation.
Well, that's the whole thing.
And our heroine was justified. She was not just a crazy person. Because, you know, like, how are you going to end a movie like that? It ends up in a straitjacket. Or, you know, I thought...
Or you lean even more into the surrealism.
Yeah.
And then you end up with because it reminded me of David Lynch, like Mulholland Drive, but David Lynch, which is like there's a part in this when she she comes back to her apartment and suddenly her roommate is a different person. And it's the person that she was seeing in her dreams.
Yes.
And that's very like Mulholland Drive like, but that movie goes off the deep end into surrealism.
Right.
And this, it just felt, like I said, to me, it felt most of the movie, like with her performance and what was happening, more like she was just crazy. So it was kind of hard. It was kind of hard to get invested. So when it got to the end, where like you were saying at the end, it felt more like, it was justified and this was real. I kind of had lost interest. I wasn't as engaged at that point.
There was a brief moment, like the movie works, and then for just a little moment, you're in that like, okay, come on, what's real, what's not? Like, get to it.
Yeah.
You answer the question. Is she imagining all this, or is this real? Answer the question. You built it up enough, and there was a little moment, but I love the abduction parts. She wakes up in her dreams.
Visually, that stuff is cool. Yeah.
There's like an older man, and then there's a girl who's wearing like a Sub Pop Records T-shirt, circa 1990s, mid 1990s. And then later she meets her in the mental hospital, and she's like, I was living in 1995, and then all of a sudden I'm here, and everything's different, and they think I'm crazy. And so I think that further validates the fact that she was abducted, and she did become her own grandmother, because it shows the aliens are playing with time. I just thought it was a fun concept, and I thought all the performances, all the actors were great all around. I really liked it. And if you're looking for something other than Trolls World Tour,
I know it sounds really crazy, but it just feels really real.
and no, we're not watching the Kevin James movie, Becky. That's another movie that just won't leave my eyesight.
Why are you so adamant about not wanting to watch that one?
I saw the trailer, and I'm like, I got it.
That's got another Community cast member in it. Joel McHale's in it.
Speaking of white guys, let's talk about the ultimate white guy in the whole universe. His name is Brett Gelman.
Not to be confused with our friend Tim.
One person I'd love to have on our show is Brett Gelman, because I would sit him right next to Tim Higgins. It would be just like that shot in the movie. Do you remember at the theater company? Yeah, I love this guy. I've seen him in lots of stuff, and I always call him the Tim Higgins guy.
Yeah.
And now I know his name. This is the vehicle of all vehicles for him. And
We're talking about a movie called Lemon.
They love your look. Your audition, rock solid. I got a job.
Tomorrow I'm going to New York for 10 days.
What's in New York?
It's better you stay.
Lemon.
This is our non-2020 movie. This came out a few years ago. I think it went direct to Hulu, so nobody saw it.
Yeah, 2017. It was probably a festival thing, and then Hulu bought it like on the cheap, because the reviews are not good, especially the audience reviews. Like critically, it's a hit or miss kind of thing, half and half, and then the audience are.
Well, critically, it's hit and miss then.
Oh God.
I watched this because you said
right up your alley.
It almost gets there, but this is one that you recommended. You're like, watch this movie, Lemon. I loved it.
Yeah.
And so I started watching it, and for the first few minutes, I thought you were trolling me. I hated it at the start. There's a kind of funny bit because his character is like an acting coach, and he's doing a scene with another Community cast member. Gillian Jacobs is in that scene, and Michael Cera. And Michael Cera is like talking about, he's criticizing her performance, and he's saying a bunch of things without saying anything. It's like, that's kind of funny.
I think you're approaching this one-dimensionally. It's lacking depth. It's thin. It's hollow. It's false. It's not ringing.
But then it dawned on me that it's like, oh, this is going to be all the characters through the whole movie. Oh no. You got to give them, it feels like a Wes Anderson movie without any humanity to any of the characters. But it did get better as it went along.
Yeah, not as quirkily stylized as a Wes Anderson movie.
No, but the dry, deadpan delivery of dialogue, and a lot of the dialogue feels really disconnected from everything.
What'd you say? What? I didn't say anything.
You know, it seemed real sad to me. And I know that was the point, but still very depressing.
That felt very Wes Anderson.
This movie was just a lovely fever dream for me. One, I love that guy. A deadpan.
He's great in this role. I just don't like that character is the lead of the movie.
The character is terrible. And he has mental problems. This is another mental illness.
I guess they all are, yeah.
The movie comes full circle. This isn't a spoiler, but the movie comes full circle. You're like, Lemon, what?
Oh, yeah, I wanted to mention this.
And then the very end of the movie, it's the entire credit sequence is played over what looks like an actual tow truck driver coming and picking his car up that won't start. And so you're like, okay, lemon. Lemon is a term for you non-boomers out there. Lemon is a term for a car that you buy that doesn't work.
Yes.
Or fails quickly.
And in the context of this movie, his character is a lemon.
He is a lemon as a human being.
Yes.
He is a failure.
He's jealous. He's vindictive. He's
autistic.
Yeah.
He's socially awkward. He's a lemon, and that's what the movie's about. And I mean, this movie's just batshit, and it's so much fun just watching it.
See, I felt like it was too detached for me. As far as all those characters are awful, the filmmakers know they're awful. I was just like, I need something. But it does come eventually in the form of the Nia Long character, who's the girl he starts dating. Because I was like, all these characters are stiff and awkward intentionally, but I was like, I need something. And then she shows up and she feels like a real human being. And he takes her on a date and they have this incredibly awkward date.
They have over 300 dishes.
We have over 300 dishes. We make it all. Soybean paste, shrimp
delicious.
paste, curry paste, oyster sauce. All the herbs we use are fresh. Cabbage salad, watercress salad, cucumber, sea bass, prawn.
And that's when it started to turn around for me because I was like, okay, he's the lemon. He feels like the character in like a romantic comedy where you have your protagonist that goes on the bad date.
Yeah.
And he's that character that they go on the bad date with. He's that character that's in that one comedy scene in a grander scale of a movie.
And I know where you're going.
What if we take that character and make a whole movie about him?
Sure.
And there's another movie called The Baxter, which was written and directed by Michael Showalter, and he's in it too. And that's a similar idea where it's like the love interest that's about to marry the wrong person, and then the right person comes in and sweeps her off her feet, and she leaves the guy at the altar. And that movie's about that character, the guy who gets left at the altar. And so I don't know if that was the intention with this movie, where it's like, oh, Nia Long's the real protagonist, but she's only in a third of the movie, and we focus on this asshole. Yeah. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that's what I got out of it, and that's when it kind of became more interesting to me.
Okay, I thought you were going to conclude that by saying that her character never really fully developed by the end, which is true.
Well, no, because she's not the protagonist of this movie. She's the protagonist of a normal movie.
It could have taken a switch where she kind of like helps him, in a way.
Yeah. Oh no, I like that he just leaves her. He tries to run away with her grandmother in a wheelchair. That's the stuff that started to click with me when he goes to like their backyard barbecue.
Yes.
And he's like, I wasn't told there'd be accents.
Yes.
All my friends call me Gilly. Any friend of Cleopatra is a friend of mine.
I didn't know there'd be accents.
Excuse me?
That's the stuff that started to make me laugh.
Oh, there's so much.
Because there was finally a character with some humanity that you could connect with.
Yeah.
And everything else was so smug that I had a hard time sitting through it.
His home life is just terrible. He's dating Judy Greer,
who's blind.
She's blind, but I just wanted to say I don't think Judy Greer ever has a day off of work.
She's in everything.
I see Judy Greer everywhere. She's probably in Trolls World Tour.
She's in one of those Blumhouse Hulu movies.
Yes, I saw that. What is it, about a killer dog?
Yeah, I watched it. That's literally all it is. There's no mystery. There's no, is the dog actually killing people or is it something else? No, it's killer dog, and then the movie just goes on for another hour.
Yeah, but Judy Greer has been dating him for 10 years, and she's totally blind, but she's constantly traveling. It's just funny. It's just like I'm going to Dallas and then Tampa and then over here and I'm leaving tomorrow, and so she's blind, but she's the one who's just living her life, and then there's that moment when they break up,
Is that after his phone falls in the shit-filled toilet?
Yes. His car won't start after the party.
Yeah.
So he has he's running home. You don't know why he's running home, and then it's just he just have diarrhea. And then his phone falls in the toilet, and he can't wash his hands because the water's shut off. There's no toilet paper. I mean, there's just so many weird things. Like the roll call at the family barbecue.
That's another part that felt very Wes Anderson to me.
Yeah.
Where you have the titles, who the person is, and what their relation is. Yeah.
Like the opening shot, there's a TV, and there's like a woman on it explaining like violence in Africa or something.
Yeah,
she's like, the tribes will kill you, and the camera just slowly pans, and there's a lot of that. That's kind of style. And he's just on the couch, and Judy Greer's on the couch, and they're sleeping, and he's just pissed himself. And there's no explanation why. And he gets up, and she smells it, and he's like, I gotta get to the bathroom. And
I guess that's a running theme in the movie, is him having bathroom problems.
Yes.
He comes back later, so.
And but there's the reveal of what the photo shoot ended up being was he just looks miserable. The camera just slowly pans down to reveal the cover, and then he does the audition for the adult diapers.
25 million Americans suffer from urinary incontinence. 25% of that 25 million are men. That's 5 million men with bladder problems.
And there's that little touch where someone coughs right into the camera microphone when he's delivering his line.
Oh, yeah.
So there's like, I looked up the director, some lady who used to do, or still does, or was a director in theater. And she's done a lot of movies and TV.
So she's probably met tons of theater snobs.
So there is that element of the industry. Because there's a weird thing in the beginning, too, that says this film was shot entirely on location in Los Angeles, California. There's a title at the beginning, and I'm like, okay, is that abnormal or something? And so what was the point of that? But then, so there's this element of like success, fame, because Martin Starr shows up, and he's like condescending to his brother, Isaac, about his photo shoot.
Must pay well to have your face be the face of something like that? Did it pay a lot?
And I saw a lot of comments that were like, it's a movie that's trying to make you uncomfortable, but it doesn't go far enough, and blah, blah. I don't know what the movie was trying to do, but I enjoyed the hell out of it.
I don't know, it gets pretty uncomfortable when he spray paints Michael Cera's car with the N-word.
Yeah, yes. Oh,
that's
God.
when I was like, wow, they're doing that. But then I looked up the director and was like, oh, okay, it's a black woman. Like, all right.
Maybe this is a black woman's view of white people. They're all fucking crazy and weird. Because oh my God, Michael Cera is like, his dialogue.
This is the best performance he's ever given.
He's so pretentious, and he has like this weird, like faux accent that he's doing, like money. He says money, like he's trying to sound like cosmopolitan and worldly, and you could tell he's a fraud.
I might stay on a bit and do some traveling after we wrap, maybe link up with some buddies of mine over there. I have friends everywhere, Tunisia, Morocco, Chad. That's all in Africa, but it's also close, it's really just right there. I mean, it feels a little farther than it does on a globe, but I'm still figuring it all out.
He's talking about all his worldly events, and then Brett Gelman is apparently in love with Michael Cera. He tries to kiss him, which leads to this like the most awkward fight. But I have nothing. What it's about, like what the goal was, I don't know.
It felt like it was just trying to criticize these types of like theater and actor and industry people, which is fine, but like I said, without any sort of character to ground it, it's hard to connect with any of the humor.
It doesn't have a general audience accessibility.
No.
It has like...
Which is often the kind of shit I like, but with this movie, it just did not connect with me because...
Who are you?
I just thought it was...
guy who likes David Lynch movies.
I know, but those have some humanity to them. They have characters that even if you don't literally understand what's happening, you understand the feeling of it. And this movie, it just felt too smug and detached.
Okay.
Until Nia Long shows up. That's the last like half hour. There was some funny situational humor. him going to that barbecue and trying to connect with all these people was very funny to me.
It was a gang, a Latino gang, not a black gang. A lot of people still think black when you say gang.
What people?
Not you guys and not me, but people.
I think I found it refreshing, especially after watching Palm Springs, which just felt so boilerplate. Watching this, and I think, you know, obviously I like dry humor, and it doesn't get drier than this.
Sure.
And normally I'm like a structure person, and I'm like, what is the protagonist's goal? What, you know? But this was just just sit back and just say, what?
One day my mama made a million matzo balls, a million matzo balls, a million matzo balls.
Yeah, so heavily high recommendation from me on Lemon, and a 0% recommendation from
I'm
Jay.
not recommending it.
Is Lemon a lemon of a film for you?
Like I said, I started to get interested in like the last half hour of it, so it's not a complete waste. And yeah, Brett Gelman is really good, but just focusing on that character and all these characters, it rubbed me the wrong way.
It wouldn't work as a 7-season-long TV show.
Well, sure,
but it works as a little 90-minute nugget of what the fuck.
I cannot hide this yearning to.
Are you okay?
Well, sticking with Hulu, we watched another Hulu film, one that actually came out this year, called Palm Springs.
Run, rabbit, run!
This is a movie that everybody went crazy for like a day and then completely forgot about.
Jay, tell us all about Palm Springs.
Have you ever seen Groundhog Day?
Or Happy Death Day?
At least Happy Death Day had the nerve to reference Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to own up to the fact that this isn't a very original idea. This movie was fine. It was cute. I don't know. It's a romantic comedy. I was kind of thinking early on that maybe it would end up being a little headier than it was. Because Andy Samberg's character is like this horrible nihilist, and that's the best stuff in the movie is when he just doesn't give a shit about anything because he's been trapped in the same day for however long.
I remember another horrible nihilist trapped in the same day. His name was Bill Murray. We're talking about this because it's a bigger released movie, and it was popular, and it's the only closest thing we have to like a bigger, not even a studio movie, just a bigger
popular movie that people are actually talking about.
More people, that's not buried under thousands of hours of digging to try and find, like a Horse Girl. Like, whoa. I had to dig to the earth's mantle to find Horse Girl, but this is out there right in your face. Palm Springs, you know.
But it's you take out the time loop angle, and it's the exact same structure of every romantic comedy. They meet, the awkward courtship, they start to fall for each other, and at the start of the third act, they got to split up.
How did the character or characters grow?
Well, he learns to stop not caring about anything.
But that was...
Starts to care about her.
That was because he was stuck in a time loop.
Yes.
And her angle is she starts off... It's really more a movie about her because she's the one with like the issues. Like they're like, oh, you know, her younger sister is the one getting married. So they're just like, you know, time's ticking on you. You're a fuck up, and you know, something happened at the end that makes her no longer want to be a fuck up. Is it just her love for?
Yeah, starts to open her heart to somebody else. It's all very typical stuff.
And so then, okay, if you got weak character development and weak character arcs, then at least stuff the movie chock full of repetition, time travel, repeating the day jokes.
Sure.
Which it sort of is.
Yeah, I mean, it's all very bland humor.
Cute is the word, not funny. funny means you are maybe offended a little challenged, a little uncomfortable, a little shocked.
So you're talking about Lemon.
Lemon was a better comedy than Palm Springs, where something outrageous happens. Outrageous. I could think of just a million adjectives to describe the feelings that you should get when watching a comedy.
Everyone stand back!
Oh my God!
Palm Springs is as bland as Palm Springs. There's a scene of excessive drug use where Andy Samberg parties with J.K. Simmons, and they do a bunch of like cocaine and stuff.
J.K. Simmons, who's a more interesting character than our protagonist. I liked his little storyline better than Andy Samberg's.
I found that scene offensive to those who have drug addiction.
Oh.
And drug addiction is no laughing matter. Cut that scene out.
I don't think humor doesn't need to be offensive or shocking to be funny.
I said those were just two adjectives, Jay. I could come up with 100.
Okay.
Relatability,
Well, that relatability is why Lemon didn't work for me. But humor, I don't know. It's comedy is similar to horror, where it's like you have your build up and then you have a release, and it comes from surprise of some sort.
Surprise.
That's what makes you laugh generally. Is I wasn't expecting that.
Yes. Unexpectedness, surprise.
And this movie is the exact opposite of being surprised by anything.
Yeah. I was thinking, because this is a Lonely Island production.
Yeah, which was weird. That was the opening. They have their company logo, and it looks like the Sony Pictures Classic logo.
Yeah, it's a joke.
But it's a joke, but it's like that's not the type of joke that goes with the humor of this movie. So that was weird, because when I think of Lonely Island, I think of all the SNL skits, and I don't know, did you ever see their movie Hot Rod?
Mm-mm.
Hot Rod's pretty funny.
My safe word will be whiskey.
Sorry, Rod, what was that?
Whiskey.
So you mean whiskey?
What?
You're saying it weird.
Saying what weird?
All of it.
It's very hit and miss, but it's more absurdist humor than this was. And I know Andy Samberg and them didn't write this or whatever, but it's their company behind it.
Right. I remember that fake Justin Bieber documentary.
Oh yeah, the pop star.
Yeah. I mean, there was some humor in that.
Well, that's what I said. Absurdists. Their humor is usually a little more heightened.
Yeah. And they're funny guys. Andy Samberg's funny. He's not a really good actor. His acting kind of reminds me of our acting, half in the bag acting. I always attribute certain things to that.
Sure.
That's half of the bag acting.
Well, this is the result of when you have someone who just makes comedy skits and isn't a real actor,
right?
And then you start putting him in real productions. I haven't watched. I know he's on that show, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but that's a comedy show.
Right.
So.
Yeah. There were certain scenes that were intended to be genuine and heartfelt, and he can't pull that off.
Yeah.
I mean,
she carries the weight of those scenes.
Yeah. No offense to him, it's just not his wheelhouse of talent. It's just doing dramatic scenes don't work for Andy Samberg. Maybe some more outrageous stuff, if you're going to have a scene,
something memorable. That's the thing. All the scenes are just so bland.
If you're going to have an hour in the middle of the movie of them playing around with time travel, they need to do something really crazy or outrageous or memorable. I still remember Bill Murray, and this is very simple, but I still remember it. And ironically, I've only seen Groundhog Day one time.
Oh my God.
Him memorizing Jeopardy.
What are the Finger Lakes?
Jim. What are the Finger Lakes? Correct. This South American lake drains into the smaller lake.
What is Titicaca?
So that sticks with me. It's funny.
And that movie also has a montage of him killing himself. That's when he's at his low point.
Yeah.
And that's fun. Happy Death Day to You has one of the best moments in any of these movies of the main character killing themselves, when she's in full jogging uniform and just runs right into the back of a wood chipper. Just visually, that's funny, and it's dark, and it's kind of odd.
Yeah.
And this movie doesn't have anything like that.
A little, not quite a flat line, but little beeps. It says cute.
It's cute and watchable. And I think that's what a lot of people want right now.
So, Jay, would you recommend Palm Springs?
Not really. I mean, unless you just want to put something on before you fall asleep.
Yeah.
It's too bland and forgettable and inoffensive to, like, when I say I don't recommend it, it's not like, oh, it's so bad.
Yeah.
It's like nothing.
It's gonna be a beautiful wedding.
But what will go down in history as a comedy classic is a movie called Relic.
Gran? Mom?
So this is one we both watched. Neither of us recommended it to each other. We just happened to both have watched it. I was curious about it because, yeah, it's a new horror movie.
It was on my radar.
I had never even heard of it until it was released. I was like, oh, what is this? Oh, horror film, low-key, character-driven, small-scale, atmospheric horror. That's my thing. And then what I got was not a horror film. What I got was one of the most fucking depressing family dramas I've seen in years.
Absolutely.
It's very good, but it's very fucking depressing.
Oh, it's great. I see the poster for it, and I saw the Rotten Tomatoes. It was like, I don't know, high critic score, but very low
All these
audience
types
score.
of horror movies are like
I'm
that.
just like,
yeah.
oh, that's it for me. High critic, low audience, I'm in. That means it's good, because that means it's polarizing.
Yeah.
This was the most boring and stupidest thing I've ever seen. Blah, blah. Half a star and then 5 stars. This was great. And I'm just like, yes. That means I'm not going to get Palm Springs.
Yes.
That means I'm going to get something that I'm either going to love or hate. And I loved it. And you know what? If ambiguous gothic horror is not your thing, stay far away from it.
Yes.
But I've realized over the years, gothic horror is my thing.
Modern gothic.
Modern gothic horror. The Haunting of Hill House, A Hole in the Ground.
The Turning.
Not The Turning.
Starring Stranger Things.
The Babadook.
The Babadook is a good one to compare this to, because this is an Australian movie. And was that Australian or New Zealand? It's been a while since I've watched it.
I don't know.
But that's very similar to this in that it's, I guess, technically a horror movie, but the horror is so overtly metaphorical that it's more of a character drama.
Yeah. When I started this up, I didn't know like the production company, and then when you see like, what is it, like Screen Australia or the film board, which means it's a little different overseas. Like sometimes the government funds the arts.
Yeah.
And
not Disney.
Yes, and so when they got a grant from their government to make a film, that it's going to be good.
It's because somebody had an idea and they were passionate about making a piece of art as a film that's a piece of art.
It wasn't trick you trash like Blumhouse makes for Hulu.
Yes.
So when I see that, it's like you know, the National Film Board of Australia presents. I'm like, yes, yes. So a committee of Australian bureaucrats had to approve this screenplay. That means, you know, it wasn't Puka Lives. Yes, we're going to approve Puka Lives with taxpayer-funded dollars for the arts.
Mom! She called me a few weeks ago. I think she was scared.
Mother and her daughter can't find Grandma, and they go to Grandma's house to find her. Now, let's move on to spoilers. Go to this time code for our official wrap-up. So this is a movie where Grandma's missing. Is this old lady in the walls?
You know, I think it was someone on Twitter, because I mentioned this movie, and they made a joke that you'll understand if you've seen the movie. They called it Mold Lady in the Walls. And I thought that was clever.
That is clever, yeah.
But yeah, they find Grandma. It's not really like a mystery. It's just they're dealing with her. She has dementia. The movie's about emotionally dealing with that. Dealing with a loved one kind of slipping away.
It's about female generational issues too, and dealing with mental illness, passing down generations. It's not everyone's cup of tea because you want a solid answer,
Or you want fun, spooky scares.
Yeah,
you don't get that.
There's history to this house, to the land, to the family. There's a really creepy nightmare sequence with dead bodies in a cabin, and so.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is there's this cabin on their property that they tore down, but they took the window from it and put it in the main house.
Grandpa went nuts and stayed in the house, and the piece of stained glass is the connective piece that carries onto the house. And the grandma's like, oh, this house is everything. It's all my memories. So the house is like a metaphor for her mind, because it becomes like Willy Wonka's factory, because the daughter ends up going in the closet, and there's all these corridors and nothing makes sense.
She finds this whole other part of the house she didn't know existed, and it becomes a maze, and that's like the most kind of nightmarish stuff in the movie.
And it doesn't make sense logically or realistically. The house just starts to break down, and it's like how the house is a metaphor for the old lady's mind.
Yeah. Well, and also just that feeling of, if you've watched like a loved one going through any sort of like illness like that kind of emotional turmoil and the toll it can take on you, and sometimes you get angry with them, but you love them, and it's like all these things, and so the end kind of builds up into that, like emotionally, but we're seeing it represented with this house and them trying to tear through the walls and get out, and Grandma's gone nuts briefly. It's barely a literal horror movie at all.
No,
it's all completely emotional.
And I think that's again with the reviews. If you look at user reviews, it sucked. Because you get to the end and you want. Your brain wants like them to call the priest to come over and do the exorcism.
I was just going to say that, do an exorcism on Granny.
And then you could go, okay, the thing haunting Granny in her house was a demon, and the demon is now gone, but it's not that.
Instead, what you get is, everyone I love and care about is going to die.
And you're next.
It's especially that ending. It gets so somber. Like, it goes chaotic, and then everything kind of calms down, and they realize they can't leave Grandma. And then, when she's like peeling off her skin, and it's like just coming to accept it.
Well, I bet you if you go through this movie and pinpoint moments, it would probably follow the stages of grief.
That's what I was thinking, because it gets chaotic, and
there's acceptance, and then there's acceptance, and then there's like bargaining at the point when the daughter's like, well, maybe I could live at Grandma's house, or Grandma could come live with me, and we can take. And then there's like anger, I think, is one, when you get really mad. Mm-hmm. I don't know all the stages of grieving, but that when they're running out of the house, there's this big action scene where Grandma is crazy and they're hitting her, and they bust through the wall, and they decide to leave, but the mother, the Grandma's daughter, she stops, and she's like, I can't leave Grandma. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of like, that's the moment. And she's lovingly peeling her skin off to reveal this creepy, fucking disgusting, dead version of her.
This isn't going to end like a James Wan film.
You are Valak! The Defiler! The Profane! The Marquis of Snakes!
What's her face? Elizabeth Warren? Lorraine Warren.
Lorraine Warren.
I was always wondering, like, I think Zach Baggins is on the phone every day trying to get her stockpile.
Oh, sure. He wants that Annabelle doll.
He would love to buy that Annabelle doll. I think they're just waiting. Man, that would be a great scam.
What, the entire life of the Warrens? I agree, that was a great scam.
No, I mean, if I was the Warrens' heirs, son, daughter, whoever, I don't know, I would just find an old Raggedy Ann doll.
This is the doll.
It's $6.66 million.
Hey, there you go.
Well, that's an interesting number. Let me just write you a check. I don't know, but Zach Beckett sounds like a Texan. That's an interesting number. Let me write you a check. And then I would just sell him like just anything in a box, an old Raggedy Ann doll in a box, and give it to him, and then take the real one out and just be like, anytime you want another one, come calling.
Not a lot of people do that, but they had 5 Raggedy Ann dolls that were possessed by Annabelle.
Or just like go down to like the Goodwill and look for some weird thing and just be like, this was in the Lorraine Warren collection. Some kind of past ghost adventure she went on. It's haunted, Zach. I'll give you a break on the price on this one. $50,000. Oh my God. Jay, can you believe this old bottle of empty Dan Aykroyd vodka is haunted?
Oh my God.
I trapped a Dybbuk inside it.
Oh, holy shit.
And sometimes at night, I'll place it here, and the next morning when we come in, it's like over here.
Oh.
So, I don't know. I think this belongs in Zach Baggins' Haunted Museum.
Give us a call, Baggins.
We got shit to sell you.
We got so much haunted stuff.
Rich Evans underwear.
Oh my God, that's the most haunted of all.
It's haunted by the ghosts of thousands of farts. And real quick, I wanted to mention this is definitely a female-centric driven movie about mental illness or Alzheimer's or some kind of debilitating mental state that is passed down hereditarily. And the interesting thing is men are the only other characters. There's no other women characters.
Oh yeah, that's true.
There's the police officer, the neighbor boy with Down syndrome. The granddaughter goes over to their house because they're the only neighbors that are close, and she talks with the father. There's no mother. So every other superfluous character was a man. And it wasn't played for whatever, y'all you ladies are crazy.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't like that. It didn't hate the male characters. They were treated fine, but it was just something to note that they were the extraneous characters. So that you were really supposed to say, this is a problem with the female bloodline in this family.
Do you know where you were, Mum?
I suppose I went out. This house seems unfamiliar.
Well, let's go through our films.
Okay. Should we rank them best to worst?
Sure.
Why not?
Okay, so Jay, you've got 4 films, and you're going to rank them in order for our audience to decide if they want to go out and watch.
Okay.
So what's your number 1?
Number 1 with a bullet is Relic. That's the only one I really loved, I think. I guess, yeah, I didn't really like the other ones all that much at all. I guess Horse Girl would be number 2.
We're talking about quarantine viewing, where there's your choice between these movies or Trolls World Tour. So choose your words carefully.
Sure. Well, I would not. Relic's a hard one to recommend because you really have to be in the right frame of mind to watch it because it is so dour, especially during these coronavirus times. Some people might not want to watch a miserable, depressing movie about accepting dementia and death. But it's the best movie, I would say, out of all these as far as execution goes. Horse Girl is pretty well done. I didn't connect with the story all that much, but Alison Brie elevates it. She's really good. This is a toss-up because I disliked so much of Lemon, but it's at least memorable. So I guess that would be 3, and then the last one would be Palm Springs because it's nothing.
My ranking is almost identical. Of number 1, of course, Relic. Number 2, Lemon. It's a near tie.
Okay.
Between Relic and Lemon as my number 1 picks, both with little asterisks on them that say, 1, gothic horror that has no clear-cut ending that will depress the shit out of you, and Lemon, a gothic horror with no clear ending that will depress the shit out of you. So those 2 films are with the caveat of be careful.
Okay.
But yeah, and then Horse Girl, which I liked. So lots of good stuff in Horse Girl, and
great performance by Alison Brie, as well as a great performance by her Merkin.
Yeah. Well, another day fixing VCRs in the quarantine. Am I right, Jay? Oh. Lightning fast VCR repair. This is Mike. Hello, Mr. Jones. You're outside? Okay. Yeah, it's all done. Yeah, no, don't come in. Wait in your car, the designated parking spot. I'll be out with your VCR in a minute. Yeah, you paid over the phone. Yep. Okay, I'll be right out.
Thank God we're an essential business.
I know. I gotta put my mask on and go give him the VCR.
Okay. Yeah, you do that. I'll wait here. It's good as new.
Yeah.